Hello, time for an enlightenment vlog. Again, this one's about storytelling and daydreaming and enlightenment. Because if you're into this subject at all, you'll have noticed that the verbal mind, which is the big headache when it comes to achieving enlightenment, as it were, is busy as heck. The monkey mind, as the Buddhists call it, but basically it's the verbal mind which chatters on and on and on and on. And the enlightened state is when it is not out of control. The way it kind of goes is we daydream or make up stories in our heads pretty much constantly. If we don't have a particular issue that we're working on, like we're at work and working, but our mind is idling, it goes into a sort of a default mode, which I call garbage mode, if you like, where it just ruminates or makes up stories. We daydream about success, women or men if you're into that, how to impress the boss or other people or something, or that you are the greatest whatever in the world, the greatest astronaut, the greatest lottery winner, greatest musician, greatest victim. Daydream about success, abandonment, misery, past mistakes, future issues that might come up, things you know or think you know are going to happen, things you don't know are going to happen but which might happen. Misery and drama all round, and happy adventures too, of course. Greatest astronaut, you know, whatever. Why? Well, it's your body's natural defense mechanism in a way, only I would say it's gone out of control with humans. No, there's nobody here to tell us how we're supposed to use this system we've got. And we've come from the Stone Age and language has arrived and we don't know what to do with it, frankly. So we're just doing what happens, right? But clearly it has some obvious functions. The thinking is all about improving our state and our status. Improving status for breeding purposes. Improving our state just because why suffer, right? It's for fixing practical problems. And it's for constructing an effective false persona. That is, a kind of a personality that you can pick up and put down as needed. So you can put on your colleague hat when you're at work, or your fat bastard at the club act when you're partying or something, or your, I don't know, your best behaviour hat when you're on a new date, something of this sort, right? They're all false personas, but especially as kids we observe and we make up all these different acts for different purposes, and we learn them and we adopt them. We don't even realise most of the time that we're actually adopting a fake personality. We just, our conditioning just makes us pick that one up when it's appropriate for a given circumstance, and we use it. But when we're in idle mode, we're just ruminating. The mind doesn't stop when it's not actually needed. And I think fundamentally this is because we invest in it. We believe that even with the idle rumination, we believe that thinking about these things will fix them and improve things. Sometimes we just enjoy the drama of it. There's a side of us, even when we're being all miserable and melodramatic with ourselves, there's a side of us that likes drama. Many people watch these awful soap operas, right, with all the evil, stupid people in them, doing evil, stupid things and ruining their own and other people's lives, right? And yeah, we like drama, we enjoy it. We enjoy the intense feelings. But they are fake when we're making them up as stories. I mean, you can learn things from the stories. That's part of the survival mechanism. It's kind of rehearsal for real life. But it's fundamentally that we believe that thinking about these things, if we can just sort them out, they will bring us happiness. Money, status, relationships, solving problems. This is a wrong belief. I'll talk about it a bit more. But the point is that happiness ultimately does not come from things or from the outside world. It's something we feel within us. It may be triggered by things that happen and people and so on, but anything that comes from outside is temporary. The situation will change, they will die or leave, or you will. Nothing's permanent in this world. And what we feel is actually generated within the body-mind system. And does not necessarily relate to what we're seeing and experiencing outside. Different people can look at the same scene and react completely differently to it. So the belief that ruminating about whatever is going to make us happy, although that is the belief, I'm pretty sure, for most people, or entertaining ourselves with this drama even is going to make us happy, it's not true. You can get some transient satisfaction from things, but ultimately the rumination actually leads you away from happiness. Mostly. For a start, we overdo it tremendously. I mean, you can be pondering over a problem for weeks on end, again and again, going over it and over and over it, without really once noticing that actually you're not getting anywhere. It's not doing anything constructive. It's not solving whatever it is. A lot of thoughts that people think, they make us unhappy. They raise our stress hormones and they actually cause physical harm to the body and shorten our lives. The opposite of what they're intended to do. But I guess back in the Stone Age, the short-term benefits of being able to think a bit were greater than the long-term penalties of stress, because they didn't live very long anyway, typically. Now that our lives tend to be longer, the damage becomes more obvious. But fundamentally, ruminating based on the belief that thinking will bring us happiness leads us away from happiness, because the quiet state is a happy state, or at least contented. And if you're not worrying about something, you're happier. So, what about solving problems and thinking about them? Of course. For example, when thinking about this vlog, there we go, I wrote up all my notes. Okay. I would sit here and daydream about what I was going to say. I mean, that's how you think about things, right? You ponder them and think about this and you think about that. Yeah, but it's constructive, okay? And some of the time I was thinking about it, some of the time I was distracted and thinking about other things, but sometimes it led me back to a new idea. It's all fuzzy the way the old ticker works, right? But it works. And for a constructive, direct doing of something, it's great. But when in idle mode, in garbage mode, it's not great. It's a complete waste of energy. And it prevents you from being happy because it's giving you like inner movies of stuff which is never going to happen, which you can't obtain, which are dead and gone, or which will just be impossible anyway, right? And they're not satisfying, they're stressful on the whole. It's just like, oh, I'm making up stories again. You know, wandering down the street thinking about some old rubbish. It's better not to be thinking. Sometimes, yeah, the entertainment value is okay. For a bit. But if that's all your life, if you're like Walter Mitty, right, making it all up, I'm the greatest whatever. Really, it's silly, and you'll be better off just quietly listening to the sounds of the traffic and the birds and just taking it in, right? So it's about noticing when you are repeatedly ruminating about garbage or something which is unsolvable or which is never going to happen, or because you're believing that something is going to bring you happiness. Daydreaming about the knight in shining armour or the hot babe or something, right? Forget it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Daydreaming is just going to make you miserable. Literally. Because it's fake and it's unrealistic most of the time. And it's not constructive. It doesn't give you any actual ideas about how to achieve it. It's not like directed thought at problem solving. It's idle self-entertainment and pretty negative on the whole. If you believe that something out there is going to bring you happiness, you're guaranteeing suffering for yourself in the future, and to some extent in the present, because you're there going, oh my god, I haven't got this. And if you think people or money or status or something are going to bring you happiness, that's not what they do. The happiness comes from within. If you put it in the hands of someone else or something else, you've given your power over your life to that. And putting your life in the hands of something else is not an effective way to live a successful or happy life. That may sound a bit hard-hearted when it comes to relationships, but it's true even there. You're better with your personal power where it belongs in you. And yes, you have the relationships and everything's fantastic while it's fantastic. But you keep your personal power where it belongs. And don't daydream that somehow perfection is out there, because that's not the way this universe is constructed. We are separated from any universal source of happiness or love or whatever. Our challenge is to be the source ourselves, not actually to look for it out there, because that actually does not work. And I think most people watching this can verify that for themselves. it's there sometimes temporarily, but actually we're generating it inside when you think about it. It's a feeling reaction to something. It's not the something doing it. So, with repeated ruminations, realise you're just wasting time. You're not fixing anything. Disbelieve in the whole idea that things out there can bring you happiness, and that thinking about things out there can bring you happiness. And that thinking about things is going to get you anywhere, except when it's direct and practical, in a kind of a hands-on sense. And remember that what you feel is generated from within. So when I'm not at this stage totally yet, my mind goes off on tangents all the time, but when you naturally, spontaneously and automatically disbelieve that stuff out there is going to bring you happiness, and thinking about it and how to get it is going to bring you happiness, the verbal mind drops away. Some people put it dramatically as me falling away. They like to overstate things in these sort of circles. It's just that the false persona, or the false personas that you generate, are in part generated by thought patterns, and a lot of your thinking is like sustaining an idea of who you are, which is false, because you are what you are. But when you disbelieve in the utility of all these daydreams, they kind of fade away because you're just not interested. You realise it's garbage. Quite often I catch myself daydreaming now, and they lose their power, the dreams. They're nonsense, right? Things are better without them, literally. And practical thinking still works. In fact, it's better because there's more time for it, if I want to. Anyway, what do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Any questions? Is it unclear? Bye for now.